pause right here. Because what you're about to hear isn't meant for the version of yourself you show the world. Everyone lies to themselves about who they are inside. Most men pretend they are strong, confident, and fully in control. But the truth that governs them is darker than they imagine. There is a shadow inside you, quietly ruling your decisions. It twists your desires, whispers into your ambitions, shapes your instincts. And the most dangerous part is you still believe you are free. You are not free. You are a prisoner to impulses you refuse to name. You convince yourself your intentions are noble, your goals your own. But much of your life has already been written in shadow. Admiration, fear, and control pull at your every single move. And most men never stop to confront these hidden forces. They never ask the question that could shatter all illusions. Who am I when no one is watching or paying attention? Most cannot bear to look at that answer without fear. Because if they do, every image of themselves dies instantly. Every carefully built persona, every performed confidence, every masked emotion. All illusions crumble in the relentless light of this truth. There are 3 dark forces hidden in men everywhere around us. 3 personalities so cunning, so destructive, they dominate silently without warning. Most men are completely blind to which one governs them. They think they are strong, they think they are leaders. But in reality, they are addicted to something far smaller. Attention, approval, control, the currencies of shadowed, insecure minds everywhere. This is not theory or idle speculation. This is the hidden architecture of human desire and dominance. If you do not recognize the shadow within, it already controls you. And it has already decided how you will succeed, fail, and be remembered. Today, we expose the truth of these hidden dark personalities. The narcissist, the Machiavellian, the psychopath, 3 types, 3 forces. Each rises differently, manipulates differently, and ultimately wins in unique ways. Centuries ago, Machiavelli studied them with cold, calculating fascination. He understood the laws of shadowed ambition and instinctive cruelty perfectly. Now, it is your turn to see them clearly and honestly. If you ignore this knowledge, the world will not forgive your blindness. It will use you, discard you, and leave you unseen forever. And the cruelest part is that you will thank it for teaching nothing. By the end, one question remains burning in your mind. Which one of these shadows lives inside you silently right now? Which one whispers your choices, directs your hunger, and shapes your destiny? Brace yourself, because the answer will not comfort or flatter you. It may force you to admit something you never allowed yourself to feel. You are ruled by darkness, whether you accept it or not. And until you name it, you will remain its obedient slave. There are 3 dark personality types, and most men are blind to which one rules them. This ignorance is not harmless, it is deadly to those who ignore it. It is why men are manipulated, discarded, and entirely forgotten over time. Only the few who look in the mirror and face darkness win. Because power belongs to those who stop pretending they are good. And start mastering the shadow that truly drives every decision they make. If you do not know which force governs your instincts and ambition, your fate is already sealed. And the most tragic part is that most men believe they are strong. In truth, they are emotionally addicted to admiration and validation from others. That is the curse of the first type, the narcissist. The narcissist does not love himself, he needs to be loved. He needs to be seen, praised, applauded, validated by everyone around him. The moment he walks into a room, calculation begins immediately. Not calculation of opportunity or power, but attention itself becomes his obsession. Who is looking at him? Who is not? Who praised him? Who ignored him? In this desperate theater of validation, he becomes enslaved to perception itself. But he never perceives it as weakness, he believes it is confidence. He convinces himself he is charismatic, destined, self-assured, and fully in control. In reality, he is terrified of being unnoticed, invisible, or irrelevant in any way. He builds his entire life around admiration, yet never feels it enough. Beneath the performance, fragile, rotting pride festers silently and dangerously. One insult sends him spiraling. One rejection awakens plotting and revenge. The narcissist is not truly strong, he is endlessly starving for praise. The more he feeds on admiration, the more he needs to survive. You will notice him immediately in any room he enters. Loud, curated, slightly too polished, always scanning for the smallest disrespect. Praise causes him to glow. Indifference causes him to wither. Challenge breaks him entirely. You are witnessing the mask slipping, the illusion cracking under pressure. The narcissist has no defenses, only fragile illusions ready to shatter. And when those illusions break, he collapses into extremes of rage or despair. Neither rage nor despair are controlled, rational, or productive, they are pure reaction. He is an empire built on mirrors, and when reflection fails, destruction follows. He burns rooms, relationships, and reputations trying to restore the validation he craves. This is why many men fail silently, not from lack of skill, but fragile egos. One loss makes them disappear. One bruise drives them into fantasy worlds. They were never warriors, they were children trapped in adult bodies craving applause instead of conquest. Yet make no mistake. The narcissist can rise, and often does so quickly. Because he knows how to wear the perfect face to gain influence. He adapts to what you admire, becoming exactly what you want to praise. In politics, entertainment, and leadership, narcissists often rise faster than everyone else. Why? Because their need for admiration compels them to move before others hesitate. While others debate, the narcissist seduces. While others wait, he poses and performs. He becomes a mirror of public desire, and the hungry crowd crowns him ruler. But here lies the cruelest paradox of the narcissist's existence. What elevates him, what gives him life, is also what destroys him. The moment the admiration fades, he begins a slow, inevitable self-destruction. Think of the icons who shattered the instant the spotlight dimmed entirely. The leaders who could not tolerate criticism, falling apart in silence. The creators who vanished once the praise that sustained them disappeared. It was never failure that broke them, it was the addiction to being adored. The obsession with perfection, with being seen as flawless, became their prison. This is where the danger extends beyond himself to everyone around him. Because when the narcissist begins losing admiration, he does not disappear quietly. He manipulates, deceives, rewrites reality, and spins lies into your perception. He rewrites history, demonizes those who stop providing his vital validation. In relationships, he becomes controlling, demanding obedience masked as love and care. In business, he grows vindictive, punishing any challenge to his fragile ego. He cannot let you move on, because your attention is his oxygen. He will charm you, shame you, or destroy you to stay center stage. And if he cannot be worshipped as the hero, he will pivot swiftly. He plays the victim, or worse, the villain, driven by sheer desperation. This is not power, it is dependency masquerading as dominance, pure illusion. Once you recognize it, you notice it everywhere around you immediately. The loudest in the room, the ones meticulously polished, always seeking attention. They are not free, they are dying slowly for every morsel of applause. Here lies the final cruelty of this type of man's existence. Most men ruled by this shadow never realize it until it is too late. They believe they are chasing greatness, when in reality they chase validation. They think they are leaders, when truly they are addicted to praise. And as they build a false self to impress the world, their true self decays. Unnoticed, unloved, and eventually forgotten, because they lived for someone else's ideal. Not once do they stop and ask the question, who am I when no one watches? This haunting question can break them if they dare confront it at last. Because the truth is harsh. The narcissist does not seek power genuinely. He seeks only to appear powerful, and that illusion becomes his cage. But the danger escalates when the narcissist begins weaponizing his charm intentionally. They evolve, study attention like a battlefield, and begin to manipulate strategically. They seduce not merely for admiration, but to gain absolute control over others. When this shift occurs, the fragile narcissist transforms into something far darker. He becomes calculated, methodical, a charming predator wearing vulnerability as armor. The childish hunger for praise evolves into mastery over perception and influence. No longer a helpless seeker, he becomes a performer who understands his audience. He reads them more clearly than they understand themselves, anticipating every reaction. Refined, selective, weaponized, he leverages charm as a precise instrument of control. But the wound beneath remains, deep, unhealed, hidden beneath every polished mask. He does not seduce to connect, he seduces to gain leverage and obedience. Compliments are no longer food, they are currency, exchanged for loyalty, worship, submission. In this evolved state, the narcissist becomes dangerous to anyone mistaking him for depth. Once you believe in his illusion, he owns you subtly, invisibly, completely. And when he owns you, he feeds, not with violence, but with manipulation and control. Every soft smile, every gentle word, extracts admiration, envy, submission, without weapons. Because his real weapon is your perception of him, carefully curated and maintained. He plays the victim expertly, confessing flaws only to appear brave and noble. He shares pain strategically, positioning himself as a tragic hero deserving of sympathy. He admits failure selectively, only in ways that reinforce his perceived strength. This is how the evolved narcissist traps and dominates subtly, invisibly, completely. By giving just enough truth, vulnerability, and charm, he lowers your defenses entirely. You trust him, admire him, and slowly your sense of reality begins shifting. You feel inferior around him, but you cannot explain why it is happening. You question yourself constantly, become addicted to his approval, and fear his silence. And this is exactly where he wants you, uncertain, impressed, submissive, pliable. If you ever awaken to what he truly is, the spell finally breaks. But most people never do, they remain locked in orbit around his ego. Spinning endlessly around a sun that shines only for his reflection. They confuse confidence with true superiority, storytelling with honesty, emotional display with emotional depth. And they pay the silent price, wondering why they feel unseen and unheard. Because the narcissist does not build connections, he builds mirrors of himself everywhere. You are only valuable when you reflect what he desires to see in you. The moment you display independence, anger, or strength he cannot control, he punishes. Sometimes with distance, sometimes cruelty, sometimes sudden and inexplicable withdrawal, leaving you confused. And every punishment is framed as your fault, reinforcing his mastery of blame. This is why he is so impossible to confront or argue against directly. He has rehearsed every response, preempted every objection, and redirected every accusation expertly. You cannot shame him, because every accusation becomes evidence of your weakness in his eyes. If you attempt to leave, he reappears as everything you once loved, luring you back. He does not want you, he wants your admiration, your attention, your validation endlessly. He does not love you, he loves only how you make him feel about himself. And when he no longer needs you, he discards you gently, poetically, without remorse. Because the narcissist is not here to build with you, he is here to build himself. You are just another brick, another tool in his carefully crafted image of perfection. And yet, even after recognizing the manipulation, something in you still aches profoundly. Because the narcissist imprints himself on your psyche more deeply than anyone else ever could. He notices details no one else sees, speaks truths no one else dares to voice. He gives a taste of being completely seen before snatching it cruelly away. This is the addictive drug of his presence, leaving everyone else feeling dull by comparison. Even if you hate him, if you remember him, he has already won the battle. But the greatest tragedy of the narcissist is that he does not even know himself. All the masks, all the identities, all the mirrored reflections hide a hollow, shifting core. There is no stable self, only images trying desperately to glimpse something real. He is both master and prisoner of his own endless performance, trapped perpetually. When the crowd is gone, the applause fades, and no one watches, he faces silence. And that silence terrifies him, because in it, there is no reflection of himself. Only the haunting question remains. Who am I, if no one is watching? Without an answer, he begins performing again for another audience, another stage, another mirror. Always running from stillness, from truth, from the unbearable weight of self-recognition. And now you must ask yourself honestly. Does this shadow live inside you? Are your goals truly your own, or are they just bait for applause? Do you act for yourself, or for the version of yourself others will admire? Do you crave growth, or merely the appearance of growth to satisfy others? Because if you lie to yourself here, the narcissist's cage will never release you. You will spend your life performing, pleasing, posing, and quietly dying inside yourself. But if you answer honestly, something rare and powerful can emerge within you. You stop acting and begin truly becoming. Yet the path to this clarity is brutal, dark, and merciless in its truth. Because once you destroy one illusion, another darker shadow lurks underneath, waiting to emerge. Most people never progress past the narcissist phase, they are trapped in performance forever. Their entire lives were spent performing, addicted to admiration, enslaved by image. Yet a rare few evolve beyond this hollow, exhausting pursuit of praise. They stop needing to be admired, and instead begin needing to win. The narcissist chases attention, the evolved man chases control and leverage. In this evolution, the second type is born. The Machiavellian predator. He does not care if you love him or if you fear him. His only concern is obedience, compliance, and unchallenged acquiescence to his will. While the narcissist hungers for attention, the Machiavellian hungers for influence. He studies people like blueprints, calculating weaknesses, desires, and hidden motives carefully. He speaks only when a word shifts the board, never wasting breath. He trusts no one because the game is not about being liked. It is about being untouchable, unseen, strategically impossible to defeat or corner. The Machiavellian personality rests on a single unyielding principle. People are tools. They can be used, sharpened, broken, replaced, discarded, without hesitation or remorse. He does not hate them, he simply refuses to romanticize the foolish. Emotions are liabilities, loyalty is negotiable, kindness is camouflage for the naive. Truth is a weapon, sheathed or unleashed depending on what achieves victory. You will find him behind the scenes, silent, calculating, observing everything carefully. He is the advisor, strategist, an invisible hand moving empires without notice. He rarely speaks first, preferring to watch, measure, and record your every action. When he finally speaks, it is never a reaction, only a calculated move. Each word is precise, each gesture serves to shift power, not feelings. He does not lose temper because he values nothing enough to be emotional. He has already accounted for betrayal, predicted failure, and measured every disloyalty. He plays long games, quiet games, games with no audience, no applause. While others announce goals loudly, he announces nothing and observes everything silently. He lets others boast while gathering intelligence, quietly owning half the board unnoticed. That is the Machiavellian advantage. Invisibility, patience, and lethal timing of action. Unlike the narcissist who craves attention, the Machiavellian understands visibility is vulnerability. The man unseen, in silence, is always the one who survives and dominates. You will feel it in his presence. A cold, measured, but controlled aura. He can joke, charm, laugh, but never gives himself away completely. His compliments reveal nothing, his anger masks strategy, and his stories conceal power. You leave the encounter thinking you have connected, but you have been studied. He revealed only what he wanted you to see, while learning everything. The Machiavellian is always gathering power, silently, invisibly, without ostentation or spectacle. Not through brute force, nor charisma, but through precise positioning, patience, leverage. When he decides to act, he does not fight, he traps, ensnares, corners. You realize only too late you have been outmaneuvered, outthought, defeated silently. What separates him from naive manipulators is discipline, restraint, and calculated timing. He acts on strategy, never impulse. He uses deception instead of brute force. Bridges are burned only when necessary. Betrayals are timed with surgical precision. Every word he utters carries hidden meaning, every alliance remains conditional and fragile. This is not chaos, it is cold, deliberate precision, ruthless and terrifying in execution. He is not cruel for pleasure, he is cruel for efficiency and survival. If hurting you moves the board, he does it elegantly, without drama or waste. If helping you ensures loyalty, he does it sincerely, masking intent flawlessly. You never know which side you face, because he plays above all sides. He watches the scramble below, calculating which move will end the game definitively. Yet even this predator is vulnerable to one fatal flaw. Arrogance concealed in strategy. Believing he is always the smartest man in the room invites downfall. Once he underestimates, trusts his own perfection, he becomes exposed, even briefly. Even flawless plans, once revealed, become targets for those clever enough to strike. The greatest power is always the power you keep hidden from view. The Machiavellian's paradox. To win, he must remain unseen, detached, untouchable. But if he isolates too long, detaches too completely, he forgets the game's purpose. And in that detachment, his empire slowly rots from within, unseen by anyone. The question is no longer whether you know someone like this, it is whether you are becoming him. Do you now see people as levers rather than lives to cherish? Do you watch more than you speak, calculating, measuring, observing constantly? Do you feel detached, calm, surgical, even amidst chaos or confrontation? Do you find yourself enjoying this cold clarity, the ruthless clarity of power? If you evolve from Narcissist to Machiavellian, you may feel stronger, smarter, unstoppable. But the cost is steep. No connection, no peace, no genuine alliance remains. Only advantage, only survival, only the constant pursuit of leverage and obedience. Once you choose this path, innocence is lost, darkness is all that remains. He trusts no one, not even himself entirely, and that keeps him sharp. Every morning begins with strategy, calculation, silent moves before the day has started. Each day is a battlefield of positioning, influence, and manipulation, not violence. He does not need to scream to instill fear, he only needs to know your desire. The man who knows your desire controls your decisions, and he has perfected this. He studies insecurities, hungers, guilt, not to heal, but to exploit mercilessly. His relationships are blueprints, favors are traps, and his silence is always strategic. When he strikes, he pulls one thread, collapsing the entire illusion effortlessly. This man understands what most will never grasp. Control outweighs affection and influence surpasses intimidation. If the narcissist craves adoration, the brute craves obedience, the Machiavellian simply demands submission. And you comply without resistance, thinking it was your choice all along. Every word, every compliment, every story was crafted for compliance, not approval. He does not convince, he builds a world where resistance is exhausting and futile. By the time you realize the trap, you are entangled beyond escape. Yet this is not petty manipulation, the Machiavellian works on empires, systems, and structures. Attention, revenge, trivial gains, these are beneath him, he seeks total influence and control. In politics, business, or war, the strategist sits quietly behind thrones, unseen but commanding. He calculates systems, identifies weak points, applies pressure, bending structures to his will. He does not need a throne to rule, he simply ensures the throne owes him. While others chase power openly, he acquires it indirectly, through silence, secrets, leverage. He does not rule the room, he makes the one who does obey him naturally. And yet there is a cost. Isolation, mistrust, paranoia, and constant vigilance without reprieve. He questions loyalty even when it is genuine, anticipating betrayal that may never come. Victory and peace hold no comfort, strategy replaces meaning, control replaces connection entirely. Some Machiavellians eventually tire of endless calculation, and then precision turns into chaos. Cold calculation becomes cruelty, subtle manipulation transforms into destructive, devastating force. The strategist becomes the destroyer, seeking sensation because true connection is impossible now. He craves risk, pain, dominance purely for the thrill, the feeling of power. And in this darkness, the third type emerges. The most feared of all. Before that descent, you must ask yourself, are you already there? Are you playing the game so perfectly that you've stopped questioning why you started? Are you isolating yourself for protection, or because you no longer believe in anything but control? Have your relationships become mere transactions, calculated moves on a social chessboard? Has your identity been stripped of meaning, replaced entirely by strategy and tactical advantage? Because if you already live inside the mind of the Machiavellian, you understand the cost. Cold victories, silent rooms, no trust, no peace, only a mind that never ceases turning. And from this chilling apex, the next phase is not higher, it is deeper, more primal, more ruthless. Far less human. He doesn't need your approval, your loyalty, or even your attention anymore. The third type has moved beyond games, beyond manipulation, beyond any need for validation at all. The psychopath does not plan like a Machiavellian, nor crave admiration like a narcissist. He acts through pure impulse, pure will, pure dominance, no guilt, no hesitation, no regret. While others calculate, hesitate, second-guess, he is already in motion, unstoppable, unobserved, and final. By the time they register what has happened, it is already over, permanent, inevitable, completed. The psychopath does not concern himself with reputation, nor with moral consequence, nor with perception. He is unburdened by fear, unchained from regret, and untroubled by doubt of any kind. And that is precisely what makes him deadly. He embodies detachment, surgical, absolute, a predator of instinct. He feels nothing but the thrill of dominance when others falter, flinch, or crumble. You will not recognize him at first. He does not always appear chaotic or obvious. In fact, he is often too calm, too measured, too terrifyingly still to comprehend fully. While others rage or panic, he watches, eyes fixed, unreadable, cold as ice and deeper than shadow. He does not over-explain, justify, or rationalize. He moves through people, problems, consequences as if they are irrelevant. And to him, they are irrelevant, because conscience is a weight, emotion is a leash, the past is meaningless. Only the next move matters, and nothing else holds value or power over his actions. That is why he can lie without blinking, hurt without guilt, and destroy without pause. It is not personal, not malicious, not performative, it is instinct, pure and relentless. The predator does not hate the prey, he simply does not care whether it bleeds or lives. You will find him in the storm, not hiding, not fearing, but walking straight through it, unstoppable. While the narcissist freezes without applause, and the Machiavellian waits for opportunity, the psychopath creates it. He thrives in chaos, unpredictability, destruction, and war. The more unstable the world, the stronger he becomes. He does not panic when rules break, he breaks them first, bending reality to his will. This is what terrifies weaker men. He crosses lines they dare not touch, ignores laws they fear. Limits are not ethical, they are optional, and everyone else's restraint becomes a weapon for him to exploit. Yet this is not stupidity. The psychopath is focused, highly intelligent, and unrelenting in execution. He knows what you expect him to feel, and he mirrors it flawlessly, convincingly, dangerously. He can say the right words, show the right expressions, even cry if necessary, all performance. Inside, he is empty. Nothing moves, nothing sticks. Vulnerability is gone, removed long ago. Maybe trauma forged it, maybe choice, but the result is absolute. Ungoverned by conscience or moral tether. And in this absence of restraint, he can do what others cannot, walk into storms unshaken, bend chaos to his will. Not bravery, not courage, but apathy, detachment, and the absence of anything to lose. This is why psychopaths often rise when empires fall, when old rules crumble and fear spreads like wildfire. While others hesitate, negotiate, beg for safety, he takes, acts, strikes with unstoppable precision. Even those who see him clearly follow, not from love, but awe, because fear is magnetic, and unpredictability irresistible. He gains control, but in that victory, humanity is sacrificed, leaving him king of a hollow empire. He may command, yet sit alone on the throne, because no one truly trusts, loves, or stays. He is the storm itself, leaving bodies, consequences, and chaos in his wake, untouched and undefeated. His name may echo in history, but no one grieves his passing, and he does not care. That is the tragedy. He does not seek salvation, connection, or redemption, only strength, dominance, and will. Once you embrace this mindset, you cannot return to the ordinary. It transforms every thought, action, instinct. Many imitate the mask, the cold stare, the ruthless efficiency, but when real chaos comes, most flinch, beg, break. The true psychopath walks forward unshaken, not fearless, but empty, unbound, untethered to consequence or morality. Fear requires imagination, and he no longer imagines pain, loss, or punishment. He has moved beyond narrative. Beyond guilt, beyond emotional strings that paralyze lesser men, he is free, merciless, instantaneous in execution. Speed becomes his weapon while others deliberate, outcomes become tools while others fear them. This is not recklessness, it is freedom. Absolute, incomprehensible freedom, a liberation most men cannot fathom. He severed all ties to shame, memory, social approval, leaving only unchallengeable dominance in his wake. Yet power is not always victory. The psychopath does not build, nurture, or preserve, he dominates, then moves on. Conquest, chaos, disruption, these are his domains, and without challenge, he grows bored, restless, unsatisfied. When enemies are vanquished, when lines are crossed, when chaos is exhausted, the thrill disappears, leaving nothing. Unlike the narcissist seeking significance or the Machiavellian calculating long-term, the psychopath lives entirely in the now. A string of nows, louder, bloodier, and more defiant than the last, unstoppable, unfeeling, unsparing. Some rise to terrifying heights: CEOs, generals, cult leaders, crime lords, wielding psychological force as effortlessly as physical. Their gaze freezes rooms, silence fractures men, presence alters reality, because they do not care about rules. Not yours, not society's, not God's, they move above illusions, above consequence, above human empathy entirely. The power to act without restraint, to decide without remorse, to destroy without blinking, this is their kingdom. Cold, absolute, godless, and yet intoxicating, terrifying to all who remain tethered to morality, emotion, or consequence. Many admire this type mistakenly, equating fear with freedom, ruthlessness with strength, and cruelty with invincibility. But the psychopath does not choose this path, it is not a strategy, it is his existence, his condition. Empty, detached, incapable of love, joy, attachment, he rules rooms yet remains alien, invulnerable yet alone. When he fails, he does not spiral, recalibrate, or adapt, he collapses, void replaces function, silence replaces action. No community, no identity, no purpose remains, only a cold, conscious absence alive with remorseless detachment. This is the ultimate cost of the third type. When he wins, he stands alone; when he loses, he vanishes. Either way, isolation is his fate, and the world becomes a stage for his unstoppable will. And now you must ask yourself, one final time: which type rules you? Which mask have you worn so long that you forgot it was a mask entirely? Are you chasing praise like the narcissist, believing applause defines your reality? Or moving pieces like the Machiavellian, convinced control equals safety, dominance equals meaning? Or have you become the psychopath? Detached, efficient, untouchable, unstoppable, but fundamentally empty. Most men are ruled by one, influenced by another, and pretending they're none of them. But the path to true power is brutal honesty with oneself, ruthless recognition of your shadow. When you admit which dark instinct governs you, you do not become weak, you become aware. Awareness is the first step toward mastery, not to suppress the dark, but to direct it. Not to pretend goodness exists, but to become sovereign over the shadow that actually drives you. That is the rarest power. The man who sees the narcissist within and disciplines it. The man who sees the Machiavellian within and sharpens it, controls it, uses it. The man who sees the psychopath within and chains it, masters it, contains it. He is not innocent, not soft, not safe, but he is awake, aware, untouchable. And in a world of sleeping men, he is the most dangerous type of all. If you have made it this far, it is because a part of you already knows this truth. You are ruled by a shadow, whether you admit it or not. Narcissist, Machiavellian, or psychopath, one whispers through your instincts. It shapes your choices, directs your hunger, decides your fate. Now ask yourself, in silence and in truth: are you ready to confront the mask you've worn for decades? Are you prepared to take control of the darkness that drives you, or will it continue to consume you? If this message resonates, if the shadow inside you recognizes itself, declare it openly. Write in the comments: I control my shadow. Let's see who among us is truly ready to transform awareness into unstoppable power. And remember, the next video is more important than you imagine. Keep watching, because understanding your shadow is only the beginning.